occasionally I'll hear something like the following. I've been trying to wake up. I've been working toward awakening. I've been doing everything I can, all the things, working very hard, anything I can think of. And I've become so frustrated that I've become even depressed. I feel like a failure because I can't wake up. I feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with me, something fundamentally flawed about me because I can't wake up. It's as if I wish I didn't hear about awakening in the first place because it's led me to this place of despair about awakening, right? Now, this is just one version of it. I've heard different versions of this same sort of thing. And there are a few points I want to make that I think are important adjustments when you get to this stage of things. And when I say you get to the stage of things, what I mean by that is many people, if not most people, will experience some version of this. It's totally okay. It's normal. But I do want to make a few points, and I really hope these land. And if this is you, if you're this person, if you resonate with what I'm saying, I highly recommend listening to this more than once. Like really taking this to heart and feeling into what I'm saying here. Because some of the things I'm going to say, I do say frequently, and I say it in different ways, but there's something that is like a psychological immune system in the human psyche. And the way the immune system works is it decides what is foreign, and it rejects what is foreign, it fights what is foreign, it tries to kill what is foreign. And it always separates what is me from what's not me, what's foreign from what's self, right? That's what the immune system does all day long. The immune system of the psyche is very much like this. The immune system of the psyche takes in information, not viruses, not bacteria. It takes in information and it decides, is this me or not me? Is this about me or is this not about me? And even though I started this conversation or I started this video by describing a certain setup, a certain place that you can get to with this process, I know that even saying that will entice the mind, it will entice the ego to a degree. But when I start to give some adjustments, I start to give some, let's just say, medicine or some antidotes to this situation, I know the immune system of the mind, even if you are in that situation, is sometimes going to filter out what I'm saying because it's going to go, oh, that's not about me. That's not me. Or it doesn't fit my situation. Or my situation's so bad that doesn't work for me. That's the wrong, that medicine probably works for some people, but it doesn't work for me, right? There's this thing called terminal uniqueness. My problem is so much worse than anyone else's. It's a kind of built-in feature to shame. So that's part of this. And sometimes it's just something in us doesn't want to let go of our own worldview, even if it's really, really uncomfortable. That part of us triggers the immune system, the psychological immune system that says, what he's talking about is not me. So this is the reason I say, maybe watch this more than once. If this is you, really feel into what I'm saying, really look at the places I'm pointing, and even take it up as a bit of a practice for a time to see if it doesn't shift your perspective or help you to shift your own perspective. Because even though that sounds like a really bad situation to be in, right? I've done all the things, I've worked so hard, I'm endlessly frustrated, and now I'm just in despair because I can't wake up, right? I feel like a total failure, whatever it is. It sounds so bad to a certain way of thinking, to the ego, but it's kind of music to my ears, to be honest. Like, I'm not happy that you are suffering. I'm not happy that you're feeling so much despair, but for the reasons I'm going to unpack here, when we talk about this process of unbinding, of awakening, and so forth, the stakes are so high already. They've already been high. We're just unaware of it, right? That when you start to perceive how high these stakes actually are, you're in good territory. When you start to come face to face with the actual problem, the reason you wanted to wake up in the first place, that you sensed was here, and now you're face to face with it, once you've gotten there, you're in a good place, actually. You're in such a good place in a way that even talking about whether you're going to give up or keep practicing or keep inquiring or just let go doesn't even matter that much anymore. I mean, that's kind of how far you've come in a way. And even to that end, I could say that sometimes the last little bit of control is tied up in your sort of decision making all the time of, do I let go? Do I keep pushing? Do I let go? Do I keep pushing? Sometimes that last little bit of control is just so tied up in that it needs to let go. And that's why I say seeing that you can't even choose that may be the key to this whole thing. That's the preamble to what I want to say. But I want to make a couple of, I guess, overarching points about this situation that people find themselves in. The first one, and I guess probably is the most important, is that your perception that somehow awakening itself has caused the distress, the awakening process, the unbinding process, the investigation of what's true for you, the simple and open and vulnerable and honest investigation of what's true for you and for reality, that somehow led you to this place of total despair and sometimes even self-hatred and anger towards the self and anger towards me and anger towards life and endless frustration and depression. It's just not the case. It's not the case. What is the case is that was already there. This process just uncovers what's there. It's not the only thing that's there, and we'll get to that. That's, of course, the good news. But it's a big barrier of protection in a way so that you can't see the immune system, the psychological immune system. But it's a big barrier of protection from really getting to the truth with a capital T. It's not impenetrable, but it will feel impenetrable if you keep looking at it from the limited perspective of the separate self. And that's why it's so damn uncomfortable. That illusion of the separate self has been there the whole time. And the implications of it have been there the whole time. What leads us to harm ourselves? What leads us to harm others? Right? What leads us to self-deceive, self-sabotage? What leads us to endless psychological confusion, depression, anxiety? It's not because we're bad people fundamentally. It's not because other people messed us up fundamentally. Now, we can be traumatized, and that can amplify all of this. But the core of delusion is shared by everyone, whether they've had mild to no trauma or whether they've had major trauma. Regardless of your situation, there is a core of delusion that all of the rest of this I really want to call it self-hatred, because ultimately when you get to it, that's what it is. It's this dislike for the self, dislike for the sense of who I am as the separate individual that's always struggling but never seems to completely get it right. That is built around that fundamental core of misperception of separation, right? And that core of despair, let's call it, suffering, let's call it, unsatisfactoriness, that core has been there the whole time, right? This is, and as I point out, and I think Buddhism's very good at pointing this out, there's a reason people act in incredibly violent ways sometimes, right? Individuals and groups of people can act in incredibly violent, cruel ways, causing mass harm on a massive scale, right? In very brutal ways. Why? Because of this core of unconsciousness, really. I think Buddhism has that exactly right. Greed, hatred, and ignorance rise endlessly. I vow to abandon them. Yeah. And I think you will see this in yourself. Not that you are that kind of super evil person or that you're the kind of person that fundamentally wants to just harm everyone around you. But when you see that core of delusion and the potential for self-hatred built around it, the potential for the dislike of being human and other humans that's so deeply buried in us. When you see that, you realize you do have that potential. You have the potential to harm yourself and others. We all do, until we really, really get to the root of all of this. And even then, it still can take a long time after we get to the root of all this to really iron out the bad habits. Yeah, it can go on forever, actually, for the rest of this lifetime, which is great. But that's what is going on inside of humans. That's what's going on in groups of humans that slaughter other human beings, the other races, other groups of people who torture children, who do all these terrible things, assault others, who, on and on and on and on, right? I mean, I don't want to be so dark about this, but it happens. It happens all around us. It's happening right now in various places in the world. Why? It's because of the core of unconsciousness, in my opinion. And everybody carries that core. It's a matter of conditions whether that core gets activated. Eckhart Tolle is very clear on this. In The Power of Now, he describes pain body as something that can be dormant or active. And if it's active and underlain, I guess would be the word, by a lot of trauma, potentially it has the potential to be extremely violent, right? Or it can be dormant and just waiting for the right conditions. So that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're dealing with. So when you start to come into contact with what feels like really heavy energies, forces that feel dark, self-defeating, self-hatred, massive shame, depression, feeling of just worthlessness because you can't wake up and all that, the mind's interpretation is all of that is because I can't wake up. It's just that's a very subtle misperception, actually. It's a simple misperception, but it's way off. It's way off. You're just coming directly into contact with that core of, and I'll even say it's generational. I think it's speciational. I think it's carried around in human consciousness and shared among all of us. This core of self-hatred, of suffering, and blame for the suffering, blaming our parents, blaming others, blaming ourselves, blaming our emotions, blaming conditions, blaming God, blaming, right? But it's all part of the same energy. And we carry it around. And now we're coming into contact with it. Hopefully, it's because you took up this process, took up this challenge of waking up seriously. You chose to do this, or you made the choiceless choice. You read my warnings in the first chapter of my book about what is going to take place here. And it's okay. So with that context, I find that most people can settle into this understanding that, oh my gosh, okay, all of this heaviness I'm feeling, this actually is what brought me here in the first place. I sensed this years ago. I saw it activate maybe once or twice or whatever, or I saw it activate in other people. And I knew there was this darkness in humans and in myself. I could feel it. I wanted to address it. Well, the first part of addressing it is to come into contact with it, to lay it bare, a lot of times, not always. And so when you start to feel that, understand the awakening process didn't do that to you. Meditation didn't do it. Mindfulness didn't do it. It uncovered it. That's it. It uncovered it. It uncovered what was already there. And again, I really want to make this point for several reasons, but one is there's something about this process that when you're misperceiving aspects of it with fundamental delusional beliefs, it makes it that much harder. It makes it more confusing. It can make other people give you really bad advice, by the way. I've seen it. And so just know that. Trust yourself. But trust the self that goes beyond thoughts and beliefs, that can question thoughts and beliefs, that has been here the whole time, orienting you deeper and deeper into your experience until you came into contact with this. And I know it's intense and I know it's uncomfortable. Not minimizing any of that. It's still uncomfortable. But understanding it is key. It's really important. Okay, so that's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is that the way you're perceived, it's related to the first point, not in its origin or etiology, but it's related to the first point in the way the mind is misperceiving it. And it's related to that misperception that something's wrong with me because I can't wake up. On the other side of that sense that something's wrong with me, in the mind only, right? I'm not talking about unfiltered reality. I'm talking about the mind's version of reality. In the mind, there's this one side that says, there's something horrible about me. There's something I don't want to see about me. There's something I need to hide from everyone. There's some big secret about me. And it feels really real and visceral and self-defining. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, and I can do something about it. I can get away from it. I can run away from it, right? I can wake up from it. I can get a new thing to make me forget it. I can feel in control in all these ways to make myself pretend that's not there. We don't say that to ourselves that overtly, but 99% of all the shit we get ourselves up to, we're doing that in one version or another. When it comes to awakening, there will be a mental version of it doing that. The mind will be trying to do that still, even with awakening, but it can't, because awakening is not about that. Awakening is not about keeping this coin only seeing one side. right? The mind is saying, oh, you don't have to see this side. Just ignore that side. That's the dark side that you've come into contact with through inquiry. Only see this side. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to keep thinking more and more and more, right? Just keep thinking positive thoughts. Just keep thinking about where you want to go. Just keep thinking about the future. Just keep imagining what you want. Whatever you want, just keep wanting it. Want, right? At the end of the song by Tool 46 and 2, he just says, I want, oh no, it's not 46 and 2, it's Sober. He just says, I want what I want. I want what I want. I want what I want. It's like the voice of addiction. It's also the voice of ego. It's also the voice of self, right? It's the voice of seeking. And the belief is I can just keep that coin always facing up. I never have to look at the other side of it. That's an illusion. Obviously, it's a delusion. That's not going to work that way. But you can see how the seeking of awakening and the way you're thinking about it is directly tied to and related to the other part of it that you're not liking so much right now, and that's the feeling of despair, of whatever it is for you, depression. Maybe it's more like fear, anxieties coming up now that you're digging in so deep. Those are actually tied to each other, and the delusion around both of them are interrelated. The delusions around both of them are interrelated, right? Let that sink in. Let that sink in, that the way the mind is interpreting what awakening is going to be for you and how you're going to get to it is an illusion. I'm not saying there's no such thing as awakening. What I'm talking about is it's a real phenomenon, but it's happening right now. It's not in the future. It's not later. It's not in the way you're imagining it. It's not going to give you what you think it's going to give you. It's not going to take your woes away. It's not going to make you feel good all the time. Those are the illusions of the mind that's trying to stay on this side of the coin and avoid that side of the coin, right? You get that? Really let that sink in, because those are interrelated beliefs. And that's why these are the two main points I want to make about this. That yes, it is in one sense disillusioning when you realize you're not going to wake up in the way you thought you were. You're not. You have to let go of that. You can't force reality to do that for you because you're trying to do it in a dualistic way, trying to have one side of the coin without the other. You're also operating out of a sense of separation, a sense of I'm not okay. Anything you try to do operating out of a sense of I'm not okay is not going to give you results. Not good results. And strangely and paradoxically, that's because in the final analysis, in your heart of hearts, you know this, and the deepest truth that you wake up to is you are okay. Everything is okay. It's more than okay. But you can't just tell yourself that, because that's just still trying to stay on one side of the coin. You have to let go of control. You have to let go of the control that you're going to make awakening happen the way you want it to. And you have to let go of the seeming need to hold on to the belief that says, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me. And it's because of awakening. It's because of the choices I made to do this. It's because of the effort I put in, right? Do you see the effort I put in? We consider that to be somehow having led us to some bad place, and yet we still want to go to the good place. It's so dualistic. You got to let go of all of it. And here's the good news. You can. Sometimes you do it through exhausting yourself. You just get so freaking tired of driving your mind this much through inquiry, through insistence, through work, through meditation, and it just stops. Other times you just have to look really closely at these beliefs I'm pointing to. Like, watch this again if you need to, till you really get to what I'm saying here. Because it's a simple mechanism, but it's a pervasive and profound mechanism, profound in the sense that it feels all-encompassing. It feels like it's defining your experience when it's being operated by your immune system, so to speak. So your psychological immune system. So see those points, go back through until you really can feel into what I'm saying. And then you're going to realize, first of all, the discomfort that has driven this whole process is not new, right? But it's also based in a misperception of separation. It's based in this sense of the self that has to sort its own life out. It has to figure out the problem of itself.